Hello friend. Very recently I've played 2 live gigs with this system. On one occasion it went really well, and on the second occasion it was literally a complete and total disaster. So in this video I would like to talk to you about what went right and wrong in these recent gigs, and then in another video I will explain how this system works. So please see the link below for that video and we'll go over it in loads and loads of detail. So I was incredibly excited to show this to you, and the very first gig that I was basically booked to do was at a festival, a music festival, and I learned a lesson which I have sort of been learning in bit by bit as over the last year I've been playing keyboards in a band called The Early Years. I highly recommend that you check out The Early Years, by the way. They are amazing, sort of cosmic krautrock band, and I'm just playing keyboards and bits and bobs for them. Now, the whole process of playing live, and we've done a bunch of different dates all around the country with The Early Years, it's taught me some hard lessons, namely foolproofing things. You need to label things, settings, volume settings on all your keyboards, having a page of notes that if you've got to play specific parts, you've got a sort of comfort blanket of notes so that you know exactly what you need to do and when you need to do it. And you might not need to refer to that list, but having that list is an extreme comfort. I took my system to this festival in the countryside, and excited as I was, I get there and I'm set up. I get all my kit out, I get the cases out, I put my case on. I've got a guitar stand as well, so it raises up this case above the other one. I definitely recommend that. A-frame guitar stands are awesome. So the way that the output of my synth is going on was I have the hex inverter mutant hot glue down here, and in the bottom right, boink, I just have a mini jack to large jack adapter, and so that then feeds into this FMR really nice leveling amp, just to sort of, I use the RNLA as a kind of master sort of control. I'm not really heavily compressing, I'm just using it as a sort of safety net, so if I accidentally make a really loud sound, then that's there to control it. Now, I actually didn't use the RNLA at the gig, but nonetheless, the bottom line is the output of my synth is a 1/4 inch jack. Now, if you've ever played live, in any kind of venue, and with any regularity, you will have come across DI boxes. Now, DI boxes, what are they? They are basically passive bricks which have jack inputs so that you can put an unbalanced sort of output of a keyboard or something like that into it. And what it's doing, a DI box basically converts that to a balanced XLR signal that's really quiet. It's a quietener. And it's a quietener because that balanced XLR out, the sound dude will be plugging that into the mic input of a mixing desk. Don't ask me why sound engineers insist on using mic inputs when every mixing desk worth its salt has got a line input as well, but there are probably good reasons for it that I'm not aware of, and I'm sure you will tell me. But if you play live with any regularity, when you get set up, a sound dude will be like, oh, you got keyboards, I'll get you a DI box. And you don't know what that DI box is. It could be a brilliant DI box that cost £120 and is made by Radial, or it could be a shitty DI box that's made by other companies that charge £25 or less for them. So you don't know what the entire output, all of the work that you've put into designing your live system, it's all going to go through this one box. And whilst DI boxes don't necessarily make a major impact on the sound, what you don't know is that there isn't some odd technical limitation with that DI box that it cannot handle the level or the frequency response of the sound you're putting through it. And it would be fair to say that a modular has an extreme level and an extreme frequency response. So what happened at the gig was that the dude is like, oh, I'll put you through a DI box, let me get it. He plugs me into a DI box. That DI box goes off to a mixer behind the stage. It was one of those wireless mixers. And basically, I start playing and the sound is fucked, to be technical. What should sound like, the most awesome, fulsome bass sound ever, an absolute sort of train of techno, just sounded like wet goat fart. Like literally every bass drum is like, it's like clipping, it's distorting at some point during the path. And the actual product that he plugged it into, the mixer, was a very good one. It was like a Soundcraft UI, which is an excellent like digital rack mount mixer. And he's saying, oh, on my end, I'm getting good level from you. But there is something wrong, and that level has been distorted on the way. And I can only say, because I know that the output of this system sounds great, unless it's some kind of weird impedance or, I don't know, like balanced, unbalanced, I don't know what happened. On that occasion, something in the path was destroying the sound. And I'm afraid to say that their DI box basically looked like it had been kept in the Velociraptor pen for a few months. And I can only point to that device being the weak link in the chain. And it highlights an issue, which is that you might bring your own modular to the gig, and you might have a compressor or something to help sort of tame the output. But ultimately, if you're going to go through a DI box, you are beholden to the one that they have. So be aware that you will probably be plugged into one against your will, potentially. And so we couldn't solve the problem. And it was because of the nature of the gig, because it's a festival, you don't get a sound check, you get a line check. You are on straight after someone else. There is no time to problem solve. And in that instance, the crowd was leaving because the sound was screwed. They're just like, well, it's a festival, we'll go somewhere else. So I just have to stop, which you can imagine how bummed I was about that. It was just like, so excited to play this, was going to be awesome, complete disaster. Like literally, you're just on, and within 2 minutes, I'm like, stop, done. So it's super soul destroying. So I bought a DI box in the week. And actually, just to highlight the one that I did get, I bought this thing called a Radial Pro D2 after doing a bit of research, and the idea of the Pro D2 is it's a stereo DI, although I'm only using it in mono, and it is designed for keyboards, for hella transients, and for full frequency response from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. So the Pro D2 can most definitely handle the kinds of things that I'm throwing at it. And it was, like 130 odd quid. So it's not a cheap device, but I took the view that I don't ever want that to happen again. And the only way that I can be sure that the DI box is not at fault is to bring a good one that I know works. So that's what I did. Actually, another cool point about the Pro D2 is that there's an input pass-through. So you can plug your input there, and that pass-through could go to a portable recorder. So you've got a really easy way that you can tap out a second output from your modular, record it to your own recorder, and then this one goes through to house. Cool story, bro. So, proud DI owner. And so I learned a lesson. And actually, do you know what? I mean, it was the best possible place to learn it. Weirdly, there was like camo netting across the stage, so no one could even see my sad face. So I wasn't embarrassed, and it isn't really my fault in that sense, although it is because you can foolproof these things. So the lesson to learn is do test your shit thoroughly. Be sure what you're outputting, that you know what you're outputting. And the one thing that I don't have is an output module. I mean, you can imagine that I'm very much looking at them. Another point to make about headphones is a complete rip-off of my pal Martin Dubka, who I played with recently at the Camera Beats and a gig that went well. Martin uses headphones throughout the entire gig. Martin said that tuning oscillators using house monitoring is extremely difficult because, literally monitors are wedges that are on the floor, or they might not have room to put it on the floor. They have to go to the side of you or like far away, or there might be a problem and their monitors don't work. Or whatever, for whatever reason, you are hearing the house sound, mixed in with the monitor, and for lots of different reasons, it will become very hard to hear the output of your modular in a clear and consistent way. And because, especially in the situation where you are making music in real time, it is indescribably essential that you hear every last nuance of what you're doing. Because if you're squealing a filter, and the only way that you can hear it is from the speaker that's 40 feet away or 30 feet away facing the other direction from you, there's every chance you're going to blow people's ears up because you're listening, you just can't hear it. I've done this live, and it's hard. You need to be able to hear what you're doing. So he uses headphone monitoring throughout in order to give himself like an accurate in-ear reference, and I think that's something that should not be overlooked. It's something I don't have. So have your own DI box. And then if you've got an output module, it will also give you headphones so that you will be the master of what you're doing. You will truly be able to hear what's going on. Those sound like boring things to discuss. It's not as exciting as talking about the filters and such, but if you are going out live, be aware that that's what will happen. You will probably get chucked through a DI box, so just make yourself aware of it and foolproof that if you can. You don't necessarily need to get the radial one, but it is good, and I did use it live and it was fine, so I would recommend it. And then on to the gig that went really well. Well, you've probably seen this. I'll put a link to it below, but I played at Kummeru Beats. The awesome Simon from Kummeru Beats put me on, along with a lot of other awesome people. And it was a wicked event. It was like the people there were super nice and met lots of cool people. And it was very fun, and it then, because of my knackered gig, became the first time that I've actually played this live in front of an audience. And it went really well, and I was really happy with how it turned out. I did a video with Nick about my modular, but it was just very brief. You know, we didn't spend ages talking about it, and there is quite a lot to cover. So let's get to the fun bit and actually talk about the system itself. And then to do that, I'm going to do this in another video. So please check the link below and let's have a look at how it works. Thanks so much. Bye.